We call the meeting to order. This is the Michigan City Port Authority Board of Directors meeting on Monday, July the 24th. Thank everyone for being here. We expect to have a nice meeting this evening. Our first order of business will be to approve or correct the minutes as they have been published for the July 10th meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes as they have been published. Any comments or questions? Comments or questions? Hearing none. Those who favor the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the minutes are approved. At this point in our agenda, we invite our guest to express whatever comments they might want to express to the board. Phil, you have anything?
I do not.
How about you, Don?
No, sir.
Okay. There'll be an opportunity later. Mr. Frame, may we have the harbor master's report, please?
Sure. Earlier this spring, early summer, we had the parking lot over at Sprague Point resealed. And as part of that, they're going to do the striping, and that's scheduled for this Wednesday. And then also while we were working over there, we had the electrician go through all the security lights and replace the ballast or the bulbs or whatever was necessary. So the security lights should all be working good over there. Next week, you probably all got a card with a necklace thing. Next week is the Superboat race down here, the 3rd through the 6th. The races are actually on Sunday at 11 and 1, and Saturday will be a practice day. There are other events going on Thursday and Friday and Saturday evenings in town and over in the park, so if you're out and about, stop down. It'll be busy from a traffic point of view, but other than that, it's a fun event. And then I also received a letter from the mayor's office in regards to the new Coho Capitol sign. Dear board members, the City of Michigan City purchased the new metal Coho Capitol sign for the Michigan City Charter Boat Association, which was recently erected on Port Authority property. Please accept this letter for your information of my desire to donate ownership of said sign to the Michigan City Port Authority effective immediately. With the donation, it would continue to be my preference that the sign stay in its current location. Sincerely, Ron Meyer, Muir, Mayor.
Thank you. Joe?
Well, I would recommend the board accept the donation from the mayor. The sign would become Port Authority property. Although the mayor has expressed a preference that the sign remain in its place because it would be Port Authority property, if it so desired, the board could move the sign.
We need to approve the gift.
That is correct.
So if one of the board members would entertain a motion, be appreciated.
I make a motion, we approve the gift from the mayor of the sign.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Do we have comment? Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions?
Well, I believe one of the members is asking whether he would have to abstain. I don't believe you would, because you don't get any pecuniary gain at all from the Port Authority accepting the sign. And I don't believe that there would be an appearance of impropriety either.
Well, there's no financial attachment or anything to it.
Correct.
There's no personal gain.
Correct.
So I would say that you should vote.
I will.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, those who favor the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And we'll thank the mayor for the gift.
That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
I just have one question. With the cardboard boat dash, were there any incidents?
Not that I'm aware of.
Saw some videos of it too, and they seem to be having fun.
Yeah, well, it's entertaining.
By the way, on that subject, And I don't have the information with me that I received, but there's been quite a bit of conversation back and forth between the attorneys, the city attorney and Mr. Zagnoon, as well as the insurance people. And the point I want to make, without having the benefit of the letters, is the mayor made the statement in his final comment on the cardboard boat issue is that next year, whoever puts that program on has got to come before the city boards well enough in advance that significant planning and insurance can be made. So I take that to mean that I think it means that if we don't have the Summer Festival Committee or the Park Department or somebody else that's sponsoring that, then it's got to be a city-sponsored program. Joe, is that the way you?
That is the way I see it.
Okay, so they need to go to the city, and we'll continue to support it, or I assume that we will, but it can't be the loosey-goosey thing it was this year.
I agree.
Okay.
Comment? We need to make sure that that wording of that gets in the minutes, because a couple of weeks ago we were having trouble remembering exactly
Where?
what all went, and if we could just make sure that gets in pretty well.
Which?
Just what you said about the whole process of the cardboard boat race, figuring out who owns it, who's got the insurance.
I think that perhaps the best way to do that is for our attorney to prepare a statement and then give the board an opportunity to read the statement and approve it or not approve it.
I'd be happy
That was
to do
awfully
that.
confusing a few weeks ago, so I think that's a good idea. I'm glad you approved of my comment to make sure we went forward with that.
Okay.
That works.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Frank?
Nope, that's it.
Board, do any of you have any questions or comments?
I just have just a comment on the cardboard boat race. I was down there watching it for, half the time it was there. It was kind of cool. I hadn't always been down there in the past years, but it was really funny watching some of those kids getting out there, and you could see the ones who had never paddled a boat before their whole life, because they're out there, they're just going around in circles. It was so much fun, and everybody's encouraging him, but it was really a lot of fun watching there for a while. It really was. I just passed that on.
If there are no other questions or comments regarding the harbor master, Mrs. Pelicki, may we have your report, please?
You have your new customer list, and we've got 2 more customers since the last board meeting. Also, we're very busy getting ready for the boat race. Right now, with our reservations, we are out of 45-foot slips, 50, 60, and 40-foot slips. And we've got reservations for 'em.
That's great. That generally for the whole weekend, generally speaking, or,
Yeah, most were 2 nights.
wow. How many slips, empty slips does that give us left, roughly? 20 or so maybe?
If that.
And I don't
Okay.
think that, we have reservations for the 35s, but we just,
Gotcha.
yeah, there's not a lot of slips left.
Cool.
I think that's great.
And that's all that I have. If anyone has any questions.
Questions, Mrs. Pelicki? If not, we'll move on. Mr. Garrett, finances.
All right, just have the bills, and I'm gonna go over a couple items. There are 37 total items on this list. I'm gonna go over 5 of them, which will total pretty much all of this. And, so if you go about a quarter of the way down for $4,393.14, that is the water and sanitation bill. And then you go 8 or so down from there for $1,960. That is for our landscaping and lawn maintenance. Go 6 down from there for $39,597.99. That is fuel for resale. And then 5 down from there for $3,253.50. That is Midwest Security. And then 5 down from there, and that one's for $2,672.41. That is for trash removal. So those 5 items are about 52,000 of the $62,756.37. If there are no questions, I make a motion that we pay our bills as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
So a motion second to pay our bills as they have been presented. Do we have any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We pay our bills. Do you have anything else, Mr. Garrett?
That is all.
Corey, do you have questions of Mr. Garrett? Hearing none, we'll ask Mr. Ferguson if he has anything on master planning and special projects.
I have nothing to report today.
Boyd, do you have questions of Mr. Ferguson?
Any word on the racks outdoor?
Tim and our engineering people have been working on that. There's some word getting filtered down, but nothing,
Okay.
nothing real. We're making progress on the engineering aspects.
Okay.
I'd asked that earlier, so.
Anything else? If not, Mr. Messina, Board of Communications Special Events Report, please.
I have nothing to report.
Board, do you have questions of Mr. Messina? Hearing none, in terms of board operations and personnel, I have nothing to report except a compliment on the flags on the municipal dock. They look really, really nice.
Thank you.
How long have they been up?
Month?
2-3 weeks.
Yeah. About 3 weeks.
They look really nice. Whoever idea that was a good one.
That would be Mary Ann.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Mrs. Meir isn't here, but I understand that she has a report she wanted to have read.
Yes. The cardboard boat race on July 15th had a total of 21 boats in the race. 6 of the boats were from the Michigan City Youth Academy. Next year, any key players involved with the organizing the cardboard boat race will have to go before the Board of Works in the city months ahead of time to get coverage under the city's insurance. Spread Point Marina information is now posted on the Michigan City's website also. The new restaurant has opened up in the Yacht Club building. Bartlett's Fish Camp, Oyster Bar, and Kitchen is now open Tuesday through Sunday for dinner from 5 p.m. till the bar opens at 4. I did talk to Nicole today, who runs the restaurant, and she's going to make up some advertising for us to put in our overnight rental bags that we give the boaters.
That'd be a conflict with the Tin City people.
No, they could put their things in there too, if they give them to us, it's no problem. And she also brought a menu of their liquor and of their food. And we made copies so that everybody can have one.
I got one of those written. Cool.
Mrs. Blakely, are we gonna order from the menu now?
I mean, everyone has said the food is excellent, it is one there, I have heard no complaints at all. Everybody's went there, said the service and everything's top notch.
It was sure busy over the weekend.
Every evening.
Oh, as was the park. The park was so busy last weekend. I was gonna come down and just kind of walk around the lakefront. I had to park a half mile away just to do that. Which was good. Good to see plenty of people down here.
Do we have any other comments regarding Mrs. Meir's report? Then may we have the attorney's report, Mr. Zachman?
Certainly. I'm pleased to report that I received the certificate of liability insurance in relation to the Marquette Rowing Club. They have coverage of $1 million for each occurrence at the primary level and $14 million in excess insurance for a total of $15 million per occurrence, which in my opinion is sufficient to cover any potential liability that the Port Authority might face.
Before you move on, have you shared that with Mr. Manor?
I believe I did. I think I copied him on an email where I received it. Then, as the board may recall, at last meeting, I presented a draft of the internal controls policies and procedures and an overview of the same, and a draft resolution. At that meeting, I indicated that I would be able to field any questions from the board regarding that, and I'm prepared to do so today.
My only question that I had, it was just from my background in the industry is, this puts more, obviously we're going to go ahead and let's go forward with something like this. It puts a lot of time and effort on the staff. And I was wondering from the staff's point of view, if what we're proposing to approve is consistent with what you all feel you can control and document as appropriate.
Actually, we're doing all of it already.
Well, all right.
It-
Because at some point coming down the line, somebody's gonna say, well, this doesn't look like it's part of your internal control documents. Do you have some paperwork or something to show that? So there's gonna have to be a log or whatever you do. So I just wanted to bring that up.
I think Mr. Zagner can answer that question for you.
Yeah, what I tried to do was tailor the policy to the much smaller organization that we have. As I indicated at the last meeting, many of these entities are large municipalities and large state entities or sub-entities. And they have to deal with hundreds of employees, where if we have a much smaller group. And what we were able to do was identify the processes and procedures that we have in place and ensure that the control policies and procedures didn't burden the staff too much. But what we also did was sort of audit what they're doing. And what we concluded is that what they're doing today complies with the written policy. And much of that has to do with the assistance that we get from the City of Michigan City in terms of the finances and identifying property and acquiring property. So what the policy does is it doesn't defer to the City of Michigan City, but it acknowledges that the City of Michigan City is providing some of these services. It's still our obligation, your obligation rather, as the board, to ensure that those processes are adequately protecting Port Authority property. But thankfully, the policy should not impose undue burdens on the staff.
Okay. Just a point that I wanted to observe or make up. I did read all that, and I will admit that it was kind of boring. And the controlling part, I just wanted to make sure everybody can be comfortable with that, because as I said, sometime down the line, the situation will occur. Well, isn't that part of the internal process? And how do we control that? And do you have documentation or something like that?
And that's something, as the board's attorney, I will pay special attention to. And if things of that nature are identified, I will work to find a solution. And if that means drafting some additional, not necessarily rules and regulations, but some direction for the staff, I'd be happy to do that. I don't think we're going to need to amend the policy. I think we'll just need to, as you put it, document along the way what we're doing if anything new does happen to come up.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I have one question, Mr. Zagner. This is a pretty in-depth and extensive program. I know that you've worked close with the city attorney. Are you satisfied, or have you vetted this program with the state? Will the state accept this program, fulfilling their requirements?
What I learned from the state is that they don't formally approve these policies. They just want to be notified that the entity has enacted a policy. I plan to send this to my contact at the State Board of Accounts, and I will solicit comments from him, although in the conversation that I had with him, he said he generally doesn't do that. All he does is sort of an accounting that that entity now has a policy in place.
Okay.
What I did was I took from the city's policy what I considered to be the best, and those aspects that were most applicable to the Port Authority, and melded that together into the proposed policy, again, with the thought that we're not as big as the city of Michigan City, and the policy needs to be tailored to our much smaller group.
Do you have any other questions or comments, board? Questions or comments? Then the chair will entertain a motion to approve or not approve.
I move that we approve the internal control document as presented.
And if I could just make a comment, I believe what the board wants to adopt is the resolution. It's the Michigan City Port Authority resolution adopting an internal control policy pursuant to Indiana Code 5-11-1-27. And then attached to the resolution will be the policy. And then once the resolution is adopted, that adopts the policy as well.
I amend my motion to rephrase as our attorney has stated.
Well done, Mr. Ferguson. Do we have a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the draft and the consequent program that goes along with it. Do we have any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those who approve the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and the program is adopted.
Mr. President, I just noticed that the resolution I brought still bears a draft stamp. So what I'll do is at the next meeting, I'll bring a clean copy, and then we'll have each of the board members sign.
Do you have to have all 7?
Well, we have to have at least those who voted in favor.
Okay.
Okay, do you have anything else?
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Did we ever close the Grove account?
Well, I'm still hopeful that he's going to win the lottery, or he's going to win that big contract. I have not pestered him, but I'm more than happy to send another email. If he doesn't respond to that email, perhaps send him a letter. If he doesn't respond to the letter, then I think...
There's only a small outstanding amount on that account, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't recall offhand how much it is, but I believe it's under $1,500. It may even be under $1,000.
Okay. Boyd, do you have any questions for Harbor, or for the attorney? Hearing none, is there any old business?
Were there any boat auctions this year? Did we have any boats to auction off
No, well, next spring,
in the spring?
yeah, Kristen's starting to,
Looking to get back into business?
yeah.
No, I was asked about it by the public, so.
I think what there is was a couple sailboats.
All right, thank you.
Any other old business?
Maybe just a question for Mr. Frame. All the materials and stuff that the boat show personnel Lempta has stored with us, what's happening with that, or what will happen with that?
Well, eventually, I suppose they'll come get it. All we have for sure right now is they're not planning on being here this year. They've not terminated their contract, so it's possible they could be back next year and use that stuff again.
Dan, we still have a valid contract with Limpta.
Yeah.
They simply are not going to be here this year. They more than likely won't be here next year. But we still have an open contract, and if they're not gonna be here next year, then I think whoever your president is ought to ask this board to rescind the contract in total, so that we'll be free for the space and the time to negotiate with another vendor. But negotiations with another vendor can only go so far as long as that contract is in effect. Once we close the contract, I agree with you, we'd like to get the material out of here. Have I said that right, Joe?
You have?
Okay.
Okay.
Just a question on that, so let's say they notify us in January that they're not gonna be here for the 2018 season. We can pursue someone at that time if we wanted to, if there was another vendor that wanted to come in.
Well,
Because we're not breaking a contract with them, they've decided they're not doing anything, is that?
to answer your question, Aaron, not us in particular, but other people are working on a new boat show and a new boat show sponsor and vendor. Once we get to a point that we get involved, the Port Authority gets involved, and it looks like we have a project that can go forward, then we'll deal with the contract.
Okay.
But we just felt it's best to leave the contract in place until we have something to show as to why it has to be closed.
Gotcha.
We don't want Joe to make his money in court.
Run out of white shirt?
Okay, anything else?
I have nothing else.
Gas, do you have anything? Well, if that's all our business, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you, board.